John, we had a question come in and I'm wondering if we can answer it in the next few minutes. So it's from Kate. What are your suggestions on how to address or explore this area when clients don't follow through on anything across multiple sessions?
That's a great question. This would be a good one to pick up. I feel like we could do a whole half hour on that. Quick answers though. One is to directly address it and say, look, you haven't done anything in the last 3 or 4 weeks or 3 or 4 sessions. Why? And then the choice point comes as a coach, is that there's some learning there that you can get for your client that feels more like that feels really big. Like, so like use it. Like, where else in your life do you not follow through on the things you say? How does that fit into the narrative that you have about yourself? What would your future self say? You just get into it, right? So one path of getting into it is getting into it for the sake of learning and not trying to find the way for your client to follow through on things, right? So you almost actively want them to not follow through on things for the sake of the increased learning and insights. That's one path that I think is really useful. Another useful path is from a pure logistical design alliance standpoint is this coaching worth it? Is it really moving you forward, or is it not moving you forward? Do we need to complete? Do you need to find a different coach? Do we need to find a way for you to follow through on these things or not? Like, where are you at? What's the, like that, in that sense, you really are exploring. It is a problem that you're not following through on this on a consistent basis. Both paths have value. I think it's important to keep those paths very separate though, when you are exploring them. And my favorite is the learning one more than the logistical trying to solve it. What's your take, Raj? What would you add or modify?
Yeah, I agree. Just that curiosity. It could be time to revisit the Design the Alliance. I've had clients as well who were thinking about jet lag, and they're almost catching up with themselves. I've worked with them for a while and their growth, and they might have been setting actions or goals from who they were when we started the journey, and when we kind of checked in on how relevant is that for them in the space now, it's almost as though their goals have changed and grown. And even the actions that they had set like 3 weeks prior are not even relevant for what they've learned about themselves and where they want to go. Like, they've caught up with themselves. Mm-hmm. We need to do like a checkpoint, a check-in in terms of where they're at with who they are now.
Mm-hmm. Trying to think back to specific conversations I've had or listened to coaches go through this as well. Another perspective that I've seen is not having the between sessions be an action step, but just to be a perspective shift, like to see what happens when you let go of trying to work on this action step or create an action plan. Interestingly, when the ICF updated their new standards, I feel like this happened just maybe last October. Could have been 2 Octobers ago. No, I think it was just 1 year ago though. Anyway, they moved away from action. There used to be 11, 3 of them dealt with action. Then now there are only 8, and only 1 of them really deals with action. And even then, action is coming out of a learning or an insight that a client has. So I think there's this acknowledgement in the coaching world that it has gone more towards the model of coach training EDU, what we've adopted, which is learning is the of learning, being, and doing. Learning is the key that really opens up the insights. And then those insights, they show up in how someone is, how someone bees, and the doing. And maybe it's a slightly different approach. The coach takes an approach that we're not going to get an action step, but we're just going to get a learning insight and see what happens. Yeah, I think that would, I would start there.
Yeah, I wanted to carry on, but I'll stop there as well. I mean, we can pick it up next time. My brain's going around this bit around facilitating growth versus sometimes people set over actions. They just have been action orientated. So I'm just thinking about how do you challenge even that as a coach?
Yeah, I think that the thing, like that, gratitude or saying thank you is an appropriate response, like 80-90% of the time. I feel like appropriate response in coaching is curiosity, but it's hard sometimes to remember to be curious, because there are times when the judger, the internal judgment feels like, well, you need to act on that. Like there are times when that is important too. So, I mean, themes for this podcast, I realize we have to, themes for this cast, and then we will have to end. I think sometimes it's really challenging to know when to trust your own authority, like when to trust your own, to trust your own instincts. And then also when to know to ask for help, like when to know, oh, this is an unknown, or I don't even know the unknowns. Oh my goodness, if we could capture that, that would be something. So that's my big takeaway. What about for you, Raj?
I'm just going to stay with the word curiosity. I think curiosity, and close on that, because I know we need to close and I want to keep chatting. So I guess we can pick up more next week.
Excellent. Thank you all for listening.
Thanks, everyone. Thanks, John. Bye.
See you.